guys, welcome to our festive review from Rein in Horse Racing. Myself and Bo, and then with you today, we'll go through all of this week's action. Bo, first and foremost, had a good Christmas?
Very good, very good. Ate too much, drank too much, but I think I've slightly recovered now. I'm looking forward. I'm getting down to Cheltenham New Year's Day, so I'm looking forward to that. I was watching the declarations this morning, so yeah, looking forward to getting back there. How about you? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, all good, mate. I think the blood might be turning to desperados, but apart from that, it's all good. It's all good. Have you got your badge again this year for Cheltenham? You got your annual member badge?
Yeah. The 18 to 28, I think it is. It's so worthwhile, I think, especially when you can save up your rewards for racing points. I think I ended up paying something like £150 for my badge, and you can go sort of to all the meetings, including the festival. I think it's a really good thing that they do. You might fall slightly outside of that, will you, Craig?
Only by a couple of years, but let's not touch on that. Only by a couple of years. I don't look it. I might be able to do it based on appearance, but just not on the passport. Right, listen, we'll get cracking because we've got quite a bit to get through. We'll start off with Boxing Day. I think the main place to start is obviously the King George, a bit of an epic King George to say the least. I think from 2 out, looks completely different pictures to what it did obviously come the finish. Hewick, we'll start off with him. Obviously, he won the King George, and it seems strange because obviously online everyone was obviously really praising Hewick, praising the story, praising obviously Shark, etc. like that, but it was then all about the horses in behind that had either not fired or would come on for the runs, etc. like that. Is Hewick a genuine Gold Cup contender now?
I mean, he was going okay in it last year, wasn't he? But I mean, the thing is, he was well off the pace, wasn't he? And it looked like he was really struggling. I just think in a Gold Cup, again, the same thing would happen. But I just maybe don't think he'd be able to. I think it'd be too far away for him to be able to stay on, if you know what I mean. I'd imagine maybe this year with Galloping and his performance, maybe they're going to ride him a bit more prominently. Last year they rode him out the back cold, but I think if they were a bit more up on the pace, I just think he might be a bit too far back. So I wouldn't really have him for a Gold Cup myself. But I bet our mate Johnny Deneen was pretty gutted. When we did the podcast, the preview, he gave him no chance, did he?
Yeah, obviously Braveman's game getting hampered as well by what was it, a stumble by Shishkin? It was absolutely bizarre. He seemed to land and then just buckle. It was a bit of a funny one.
A bit of a slip, wasn't it? I'm not entirely sure. Do you think he would have won?
He seemed to be keeping them at bay. There never seems to be gaining on him that much, if that makes sense. So whether Hewitt would have still won the race, I'm not too sure. I can't say that. I don't think Braveman's game or Allaho would have gone past him because he seems to be keeping that distance from him. Yeah. But whether he would have set up for Hewitt as well again to do what he did, I don't know. But I think out of the three that were towards the front, Shishkin would have probably finished second to Hewitt. I still think Hewitt could have won.
So I think Shishkin would have won. I think he was just about to start staying on stoutly. I don't think the other two really stayed. It looks like they both kind of fell in a bit of a hole. And I know Braveman's game was hampered, but the official length is a length and a half. I think Shishkin would have been further than a length and a half ahead of them. I think Hugh would have finished second. It is impossible to know, though, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, and there's probably cases for both of them, to be fair. We'll touch on how that's impacted the Ante Post for the Gold Cup. I'll just when we get on to another race later on, the Savills Chase that happened the other day. Ile Frontier in the Cato Star Novices, I mean, that was just unbelievable to watch from start to finish, really. It was an unbelievable performance.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best performance I saw over Christmas. I think just start to finish, I thought he was brilliant. I think everything in behind has run its race. I don't think there's any excuses. I think Hermes Allen ran a good race. This lad just really does jump for fun. I saw Willie talking about him, about how special he was and how they were going to put Grange Clare West in the Quarto Star, I think it was. And then when they saw that Ile Francais was in there.
Yeah, they didn't want to go, did they?
So there's obviously a big reputation for him. and it was good to see him do that. And it's just a bit of a shame that we're not really going to see him again. I know he's 7-2 for the King George next year, which I know is very short, but I think could look a really, really good price come the day. But yeah, it's just a shame we're not going to see him at all over in England. They're not talking. They're saying they're not going to go to the Cheltenham Festival, so it's just a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, I think the French Gold Cup's going to be the target, isn't it? They said as the main target. I agree with you. I think Hermes Allen. I don't think it ran a bad race. I think it's just obviously it's just fallen into this absolute monster from France. If you look from the distance, Hermes Allen to the third horse, it was quite a way. So Hermes Allen, I don't think has lost anything in defeat. I think it's just up against an absolute superstar.
To be fair, Giovinco ran a bit of a crap race. I would be expecting more from him, but there was a big drift on him beforehand, wasn't there?
I put him up. I put him up as a bet. I actually thought that the ground, I thought the course, I thought everything would completely in its favour. Whether it was maybe just, I don't know, one run too soon. I mean, that's his third run already.
Yeah, maybe it was a quick turnaround, or maybe stay away phase just not that good.
Yeah, again, there's that angle as well. So we've got to touch on the Christmas hurdle very, very briefly. It sounds daft to say, I actually don't think Constitution Hill gets the credit it deserves. And I know that sounds mental to say, right? It does sound crazy to say. It is by far, for me, from what I've seen since I've been watching racing, the best hurdler I've ever seen by an absolute street mile. I mean, we're talking about a Grade 1 Christmas hurdle, and he's genuinely won it pretty much on the bridle, absolutely on the staff. And I mean, people try and say, oh, well, he's not racing against much. Well, he is. He's probably racing against probably the best that we've got in England, really, apart from Constitution Hill. But he's just destroying them. And it's showing even more now with Stateman winning yesterday. Imperial Pass couldn't get past Stateman. And Constitution Hill last year, I mean, Nico Boyville were up in he was still in his stirrups, wasn't he, about 10 11th win. So, I mean, I just, it sounds daft to say, I just think he deserves more credit than what he gets.
No, I totally agree with you. I think he's a horse of a lifetime. I mean, Stateman in his own right is a very, very good horse. If you look at the ratings that he's posted in the Champion Hurdle, in Morgiana's, Matheson's, whatever it is, he has posted really, really good ratings. And he is a top horse in his own right. But it's just such a shame that he's bumped into, as I said, a horse of a lifetime that he just chews him up and spits him out, doesn't he? He just kind of like can't get anywhere near him. But yeah, that's what made me think when I saw Stateman and Imperial Pass top novice from last season, unbeaten, and he just kind of gets swatted aside so easily by Stateman, who in turn has been swatted aside by Constitution Hill. So
yeah, it's mad. And listen, barring injury and barring the fact that he might miss a hurdle for whatever bizarre reason, he should win again in March. And I hope he does, because I think he should definitely cement as the best.
And I think part of the fact that he doesn't get any the credit he deserves is because when he races in England, for example, and pretty much at Cheltenham, he's going off such a short price that people can't back him. So he's gone off 1 to 12 for a Christmas hurdle, and therefore people just kind of don't really care that he goes and wins. But you've got to, once his career is said and done, and he's racked up all of these Grade 1s, and he's maybe won 3 Champion Hurdles or something, people will look back and say, "Wow, wasn't that amazing?" It's just at the moment, because people can't back him, they seem to gripe him a bit. When they were saying
there's no connection there, is there? There's no connection there because you're not winning any money off it, so to speak. You don't get that. You don't feel that connection, I suppose. Yeah. When you do.
You've just got to watch him and appreciate him for what he is.
Yeah, 100%. Don't have a bet in the champion. Just sit back and watch him, I think, and then go from there. Right, we'll jump over to Leicester. This was obviously the first day of their Christmas festival. We'll start off at the maiden hurdle. King of Kingsfield won and beat Mirazar West. I think it was about 2 lengths in the end, something like that, a length and 3/4. King of Kingsfield came to this on the back of the second in the Royal Bond and still went off 50 to 8, and obviously was eligible for a maiden hurdle. Mirazar West was all the rage. Everyone obviously was thinking he may be the second coming of Christ. And there was a lot on Twitter, a lot on social media saying, well, the benefit of the doubt. It's only one race, etc. like that. I was disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I was disappointed. I thought I expected better. I expected him to win. The money sort of suggested that he should have been winning as well. King of Kingsfield ran a good race in the Royal Bond, but as we mentioned in other podcasts and other pieces before, the Royal Bond wasn't really a fantastic race to be looking at from a form angle.
Mm.
Would you be giving him another chance, Mirazar West, or do you just think maybe he's not as good as what we first thought?
I think it depends on how much of a forgiving type you are. I'm quite
I'm
forgiving.
not.
So you're not forgiving?
I'll tell you the reason why. Because if someone says to you now, right, I'll give you 25-1 for Mirazar West for the Supreme, would you take it?
No.
You would take. Yeah, and that's the thing. If from our point of view, I mean, I like looking at the spring festivals. That's what I try to do. I know you try to do the same.
Yeah.
The minute that this sort of performance comes in, you then betting, or your betting angle becomes more of a what if rather than a factual piece of form that you see. Prior to this run, the bumper form looked well, and he ran
Yeah.
well. Whereas now, if you were to back it now for, I don't know, 25-1 or whatever it is, you are backing on a win. Hopefully he bounces back to what we thought he was.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a horror run, to be fair. The thing I would say is King of Kingsfield is he's a race fit rival. He's had 5 runs this year so far. One of them being in a Grade 1, finishing second. So he's got a decent enough level of form to come to the race in. And I do think a lot of Willies aren't performing first time out. So, for example, if you've backed him for the Supreme, my advice would just be let him win next, because he will win a maiden hurdle. His next race he will probably win. So let him win that. He'll then shorten, and then you can decide from there if you want to cash out or if lay him off or something like that. But I saw that Willie yesterday was saying that after Ballyburn won, he said his three novice hurdle hopes, or his 3 juveniles, whatever, all got beat first time up. He said his top 3 were Mirazor West, Ballyburn, and Ethical Diamond. So I'd just err on the side of possibly watch him next time out and see. I mean, you look at a horse like Galloping de Champs, who we'll touch on in a bit. His first run compared to his second run, there's bundles of difference there. So I'd be more inclined just to watch him run next time. And I don't think the ground helped either. I mean, it looked pretty dead, pretty horrible. But yeah, I think it depends on if you're a forgiving type or not. I'd understand why people are throwing him away for the Supreme, but I'm just going to have a watching brief next time and decide.
Yeah, and if people are obviously interested, King of Kingsfield is currently, I think, you can get about 20-1 on him for a Supreme, which is listen going close to the day. It might not be it might not be a bad each way shout for those that are looking at different angles. I mean, he's definitely going to go there, I would imagine.
To be fair, I mean, I don't think Farron Glory did anything wrong with the form in Aintree. To me, he looked like he was going to win when he tipped up. Obviously, Django Bay went and won for Johnny, who tipped it on our show, which was great. And there was a massive drift there. But I would have thought if he would have stayed on his feet, he would have gone and won. And I think that was the same day, so I'm not sure what the time difference was. But that form pretty much stood up within an hour of each other. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, the next race following that was probably an informative one. I know me and you like his juveniles and stuff like that. It was certainly a race I've watched back a couple of times. Was the 110, which Calaconte reversed the form back on Nürburgring, but Cargies stayed on to be second. Calaconte, I backed it at Fairy House when I was there when Nürburgring beat it last time out. When I spoke to the guys at Gordon's, they were saying that they was under the impression that it probably got beat at Fairy House because it's never really been in a battle before. His previous 2 runs have been that smooth and that easy. He probably didn't have that sort of understanding of how to win a race when it had to do. And I think you can probably see that in the way that it won this one, where it has to learn from last time out and it has got that little bit of feel about it now. Cargies was the one that I've taken out of it. out of the race. I thought it stayed on really, really well.
Yeah,
If I'm right, so Cargies will also get the mayor's allowance, won't she? In
the triumph.
in, any,
Yeah,
in the triumph. I'm not saying that she'll win a triumph, but I do think she'll come on massively for this run again, and I think she definitely will take out of this.
yeah, I totally agree. I like Carla Conti. I was kind of eyeing her for the Boodles, but that possibly might be out the window now.
That might be
But
the
yeah,
third now.
huh?
That might be the third place horse now that might go down that route, to be fair, depending on what market gets.
Yeah, yeah, and that they were that form line was kind of what I was latching onto between the two of them. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I would definitely agree with the Cargeese. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but yeah, did everything wrong. Didn't jump great. Very keen, bit lit up as juveniles can be, and yeah, finished really strongly. So I'd definitely be
I think,
interested in her next time up.
yeah, I think Nürburgring is just one to keep an eye on. He seems to always pitch us. I remember when he had Band of Outlaws that time, which was a progressive horse, so he don't
Yeah,
mind sending horses that have already won before
yeah,
or ran well in graded races. So that's definitely keep an eye on that mark. And finally, we'll just touch on the Racing Post novice. So obviously, Founder 50 won it. My mate was second, but the big sort of takeaway from the race was the Facile Vega flop, shall we say, of how he ran. I know a lot of people were obviously saying that they were very disappointed, and I understand why. Um, I did expect him to win. I actually thought he was in the field with horses that probably wanted maybe a little bit further rather than actually wanting the 2 miles. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity for him to win this race. I don't think there's any excuses from what I could see. The only thing I'm taking away from it is it's again, it's Leopardstown, where he bombed last year at the DRF
yeah.
at Leopardstown. Whether it's just a course that he doesn't like, I'm clinging. I'm trying to cling on to some more for people that have backed him, but I mean, it was a bad one.
Yeah, it was a shocker. To be fair, now that we're going back through all of this, I'm just realising how much of a shocker I had on Boxing Day. So thanks for that, Craig. Um,
Sorry,
but yeah,
mate.
I really like Founder 50. What was that? Sorry.
I think most people do. I think the bookie definitely won on Boxing Day. That's
Oh
just
yeah,
I think,
it was tough. So anybody that came out on top, you've done well.
yeah.
I don't think that was the real Facile Vega. I couldn't give you an excuse as to why he ran so badly, but um, I don't think that's the real Facile Vega at all. Being beaten sort of last to Sharjah and my mate Mozzie. I do like Founder 50. I think he's a very good horse, but being beaten by Sharjah and my mate Mozzie, that just is not right. So yeah, I haven't burnt any Arkle slips yet, but it's looking unlikely. But Founder 50, I thought was great. I've got a bet on him for the Turners, so now I'm a little bit sort of sceptical. I mean, when we did our preview coming into this, I was wondering whether they were going to go for a handicap or why they were running him over 2 miles. But obviously, he's got enough pace for it. So yeah, I thought he was really good.
I still think he'll go up in trip play, if I'm honest with you. I still think he'll go up in trip. I think a lot of horses now, and it sort of leads on nicely into Wednesday's racing because we'll talk about it now because we are talking about the Arkle picture. Marine National was absolutely foot perfect in terms of his jumping. It was absolutely exceptional, and I think there'll be a lot of horses that will probably stay away from him. I think based on what we saw at Leopardstown. The only thing I would say, and I'm not trying to be downbeat, I'm not trying to be putting the horse down at all because I backed it with the Supreme. I like Marine National. You've got to remember that I think was he about £33 better than firm footings over hurdles? There was a
Yeah,
massive gulf in the class. So he should have won by that distance and he should have won that easily. But
yeah,
his jumping was impeccable, and that's the one thing I'm taking away from it is that he can jump a fence, if that makes sense. Because he should have won the race, so forget about that part. And the
yeah,
price, by the way, 1 to 2. I'd never back a 1 to 2 if that makes sense in a single, but what a stupid price that was to put in any sort of acca or anything like that. 1 to 2.
yeah. It was ridiculous, and I'll tell you, it's because it's Barry Connell and not Willie Mullins.
Yeah, 100%.
If that was Rich Ritchie, Willie Mullins, and Paul Townend, winner of the Supreme, probably would have been 1 to 10. something like that.
I agree.
But I thought he was
I
brilliant.
think Rein now even money now for the Arkle.
Yeah, I think he's just a shades of odds on in some places, which it's very, very short. And I saw someone moaning about it recently, but I mean, he was available at 5-1 all throughout the summer, and right
Well,
at the start of the season, 5-1.
I think I tipped up in the beginning of the season review that we did. I tipped up Rein National and El Fabiolo as a double, Ante Post double. I think at the time that paid about 14-1, maybe something like that. So, like you said, the price has been available. I think I think I mentioned it when we were chatting with Johnny as well, and it's funny how it's obviously worked out this way, but the 2 mile novice chasing division is absolutely dire. It is
Well, it
rubbish.
looks even worse now.
100%. I mean, apart from Rein National, everything else just looks like it's. I mean, this could possibly be the worst Arkle since Footpad when there was like 4 runners.
Yeah,
That's sort of standard of Arkle this year, as things showing at the minute. It looks that bad.
It has been the kind of race recently though, where like there is sort of smaller numbers if there's a star. So I think you
Honestly,
have like
I mean quality though, but I'm talking about the quality of it though. I mean, if you look at the 2 male horses, we might. I mean, I think that season with Footpad, you had. I think it was Footpad, Petit Mouchra. There was a Henderson horse in it, which wasn't that good either. So what I'm saying is I don't mind if it's small field with some. Like for example, this year just gone, we had the Dysart Dynamo, we had El Fabiola, we had John Bond. It was small, but it was a little bit of quality within it.
Good fit.
This year, this year could be absolute dross.
Yeah.
So it depends.
I think it will be. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Gaelic Warrior, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with Fast Vega and Founder 50. Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden it could look like a decent Arkle. I mean, people are talking about In the Pocket being off, but nothing's confirmed. So if he was to make a comeback, it might look relatively decent, but clutching at straws that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right, same day. What else did we have there? Dino Blue jumped like absolute stag. Captain Guinness pulled up, which was unfortunate to see. I'd imagine Dino Blue, will it be the substitute for Impervious going for the mares, or will it go for a Grand Annual again? I don't know.
Or will it go for a Champion Chase?
Yeah, possibly.
I don't really know with Dino Blue, because I've always been of the opinion that she's out 2 mile. She's not going to stay 2 mile 4 around Cheltenham. But obviously she's very short for the mare's chase. So it looks like they're going that way. But I mean, she'd have every chance of placing in a Champion Chase.
Yeah, you would have thought so. Yeah, Gentleman to me had a good run in second as well.
Yeah.
Right, so the next race after this was one to probably dissect as well, which, I mean, it may be very much ground dependent for a couple of these horses, but the Paddock Power Future Champions Novice Hurdle, Daddy Longlegs obviously the favourite, got pulled up, it was just entering the home turn, so there was clearly either didn't go on the ground or there was something missed there, but Caldwell Potter seemed to really relish the ground, as did Predators Gold. They were 1-2, and then it was a distance back to down memory lane. We'll start off with the winner, Caldwell Potter. That's come right in. I think it can be a short of 10-1, I think, for the Supreme. How much of this form are you taking forward, given that it was such bad ground?
Pretty much throwing the race in the bin, to be honest. That would be my take on it. I think down memory lane and Daddy Longlegs are the best horse in the race, but obviously I think the ground was absolutely atrocious. I'd have Caldwell Potter and Predators Gold as more stayers, so I understand why they came to the fore. But yeah, I wouldn't fancy Caldwell Potter for a Supreme. But the only thing I would say on the Supreme is it's looking a bit murky at the moment, isn't it? You were talking about the 2 mile chase, novice chase division, but I mean, the 2 mile novice hurdlers isn't looking much better.
No, not at all. I think this year more than anything, you've got absolutely no idea where some of these are going to go. It seems like a lot of the horses at this moment in time are almost bred for further, rather than for short. It's a bit of a funny.
It's a bit weird one, because you've sometimes got like the bumper form coming into it, but a lot of the bumper horses are all stayers. Obviously, Fats Files going on the fences. The Dream to Share is not running at the moment. So there's that part of it. And then outside of that, you haven't really had any stellar performances. The Royal Bond didn't look great. There's been nothing that's cropped up from England, barring Jericho. De Repenau's just ran and looked good. So it really is looking very, very murky. And as we've already touched on, sort of Mirazor West has seemed to be one of Willie's best, and he's flopped. So could just be a really, really poor division. It reminds me of a bit of, do you know the year that Appreciate It won it? And there was just nothing. There was just nothing in the race. We could very much end up in a situation like that, where you've got something like Jericho de Repenau who looks the star, and then nothing else in it at all.
Yeah, I think one horse I just want to mention very briefly, and it's on the back of Colwell Potter winning obviously this week. It's for me, for Willie Mullins actually beat Colwell Potter first time out. Now, that was when Willie was going through a very, very bad run of where all his horses just seem to be flopping left, right, and centre. And it's for me beat it fairly comfortably in its debut over 2 miles. It hasn't been seen since, but it's just definitely, I'd say, a horse just sticking the track. You can still get about 14 to 1 foot Supreme as well, but just have that in your track. If that comes out and wins again, then that could be something maybe that's going to come out from obviously from Uncle Sutton as one of their main ones, possibly for the Supreme.
Yeah, I'd probably have it as a slight concern that we didn't see him over Christmas.
Yeah,
that looked the perfect race for him to run in. Obviously, the ground was rubbish, but he wasn't even declared. So I'd have slight concerns over that.
Just want to stick in your track and see when it starts getting declared.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
the other one I haven't seen is You Ought to Know, which I was really interested to see. And that's not been nowhere to be seen either. So there's still a couple to be seen from Willis and see how they get on. But we'll move on to some of the ones we look at. Sergino, we'll bring it up on screen. I know you're a big fan of it, but what were you happy what you saw?
Yeah, I was very happy. I've been a big fan of him for a while. He was given one of these weight, and he just won so easily. I think the good thing as well, when I was watching him, is there's stuff that Nicky can improve, brush up for him. He's jumping, and he was a little bit green, but he's just got some engine. So if anybody's sitting on an Ante Post slip for the Triumph, I think you're onto a very good one. But obviously he's got the form with Salvatore Mundi, so it will be interesting to see if we see him at all, because he's not been entered for anything either. So
no, again, that's another one that we haven't seen yet from Willis. We'll walk through some of the rest of it. I mean, how bad's this? We're sort of looking at the highlights of this week, and we're not even going to bother talking about the Desert Orchid Chase, which in the past has always been like a decent race, and I've really enjoyed watching. But anyway, the cheat one after the new Benegras come second, and to be fair, no one really cares, do they? I don't have an awful lot. Genuinely, no one cares, do they?
Well, with all the great racing we had on offer, it probably does fall down the pecking order. But I do like Editor de Gite as a horse. I think he's a great stable star for them.
Yeah, but he's not going to do all, is it? Let's be honest. He's not going to be anywhere for the back end of the season, is he? You know what I mean?
You said it, not me.
I did say it, and I stand by it. Right, let's still stay in Ireland anyway for on Thursday 28th. So we had Leopardstown again, and there was a few horses here that we probably need to touch on. We'll start off with the maiden hurdle, which was Jade Brugia, which I hope I said right. Looked visually very impressive, and I would assume would probably come in for some support for the Mares hurdle as well, Mares Novice hurdle in March. I'm not too sure what was in behind her in terms of quality, but couldn't really done it any easier.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of them that you don't really know until she goes up in grade. Not sure how good anything in behind was, but she did it very easily. I just mentioned this is over 2 mile 4 that she won it on heavy, and the Mares Novice is over 2 miles, so it's a bit sharper. She might be more of a stayer, but yeah, she did it as impressively as you'd like.
Yeah, some of the new course, it might give her half a chance. It's a bit more of a galloping track in the new course.
Yeah.
Might have that. Factifile, it was nice to see Factifile come back out and win this beginner's chase over further, which I think everybody apart from Frank Berry was saying that that's what they had to do. There's now talk about possibly going back to the Turners now, which I think it was yesterday that was mentioned.
Yeah.
This just seems bizarre. Everybody that you speak to says the same thing. It needs to go up and trip. Yet for whatever reason, there's a viewpoint within people in and around the horse to suggest it needs to come back down again. But for me, it looks perfect out and out stay. That's from what I've seen so far, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I thought to start with, his jumping was a little bit slow, and then it kind of warmed up. But if he was to do that in sort of Turners, I think he'd probably be a little bit outpaced and a bit too far back. But I mean, it's really interesting what Willie's going to do. He's got some ammunition now, hasn't he? I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on Grange Clare West in a bit and Gaelic Warrior, but
hold that thought. We'll touch on it in about 5 minutes because it's probably going to be a 5-minute debate.
Yeah, I thought Factifile was very impressive. Did it just as you like. So yeah, nothing more to really add on him.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Christmas Hurdle won by Irish Point. That sounds like it's going to be bypassing Cheltenham. I think is that going to go to Aintree? I think they said on that one, but again, won very well. Looked like it's probably found its feet a little bit in the more staying races.
Really
then we had, and then we had obviously the big one, which was obviously the Savills Chase, and I mean, me and you have been chatting about it, haven't we? Off video for the last probably since it ran, and I mean, Gallop on the Champs was just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it was a monster performance, especially off the back of us finishing third before. However, we did say on the pod that we didn't think it was bad as what everyone was saying. We did think it was probably just a bit of a lull opener. But I don't think anybody could have expected this type of performance.
Yeah, it was monumental. Got an RPR of 184. Absolutely huge rating. It was brilliant. There's nothing really to add to it. He just did it as easy as he liked. And it was a field that we were looking at beforehand saying, wow, what a field. But yeah.
Well,
I am scratching my head a bit about Jerry Colon.
Well, I was just about to say, though, I've just watched an interview this morning with Gordon, and I think it was probably done yesterday, but he said that there's absolutely zero excuses. They thought that he ran his race. They just basically come up against a once-in-a-lifetime performance, really, by Gallop on the Champs around Leopardstown.
I'm not sure. I don't think you beat Capodanno ahead and only just sort of beat Iron Maximus. Maybe I got Jerry wrong, and he's not as good as I thought he was. But yeah, I just don't think that was his real race. To me, I mean, this sounds crazy as well because Galopin de Champs, I know he goes on any ground, but Jerry normally likes it a bit deeper. It didn't look to me like Jerry was handling the ground as well as Galopin de Champs was. When he was jumping out of it, it looked like to me it was a bit like it was a big effort for him to get up in the air and stuff. So I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think it'd be interesting if they both run again at the DRF. They might not do, but if they do both run again at the DRF together, that might be a bit more of a steer. Just to see whether if we get a bit more slightly better ground. But 1,000,000% taking nothing away from Gallop on the Champs. I mean, unbelievable performance and thoroughly deserved it. And I think probably now a worthy favourite for March, especially with the fact that there's other horses now. But what's going to happen with them? Are they going to go or they're not going to go? So I think on the whole, I think you've got to be happy if you're sat on a decent Gallop on the Champs slip anyway. That is for certain. Sure. Right, we'll touch on this then now. So obviously we'll go to Limerick, Gaelic Warrior in the 4 heat novices chase. One heading chest again. The big talking point after the race was all about the fact that he's gone right-handed, and I think Joe Chambers mentioned it obviously in his interview. I know Patrick mentioned it as well, just saying that he is a different horse going that way. Keen to make sure people remember that he's ran twice and lost twice at Cheltenham. However, fences just seem to have brought out a new lease of life in him. That probably he was good over hurdles, but he looks 10 times better chase than what he ever did at Hurdle, in my opinion, from what I've seen
Yeah,
so far. I mean, Ilete Tom isn't a bad horse, and they'll probably got what we'll do with Matt. We'll drop him back again, maybe to an Arkle, depending on what we'll do with Gaelic Warrior. But just obviously mention what we spoke about before. I know I cut you off about this. With Gaelic Warrior now, what would you do with him? If you were the owner, where would you go with him?
It's really difficult because I think his jumping is such an asset. That jumping performance at Limerick was probably as good as I've seen from a novice. It was really good. So he definitely has the sort of speed over his fences for an Arkle. And with Facile Vega flopping, I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled him back to that distance. I mean, the difficulty is that Willie's had novice chasers coming out and putting in big performances all over the place over Christmas. So he's now got a proper headache on his hands of where they all go. But I could see him stepping back in trip to an Arkle, but then you are bumping into a Marine Nationale. I think it just makes the most sense to keep him to the Turner's distance. He definitely stays. But yeah, I wouldn't have him going up in trip anyway.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think if he was mine, there would be part of you just thinking, do we just keep him for Punch's time and just not bother? I think a lot will depend on how Facile Vega's come out of the race and how he performs next time. I definitely will try an up in trip. I think he will try an up in trip next time, over 2.5. And I think if he does run well there, that'll give an extra headache because obviously there is Factor File, there's Grand Clay West that we'll touch on in about 5 minutes. There's other horses that sort of put the stamp on those particular races. So there's going to be the conversation of what do we do with him. I mean, like you touched on, I mean, Facile Vega, if he's not a 2-miler over fences, then William Mullins actually has nothing for the 2-mile division for Arkle.
Yeah. And Marine Nationale and Gaelic Warrior would be some race. One thing I would say is just after the performance of Factor File, which I think was first, I went and backed Factor File for the Turners and Gaelic Warrior for the Arkle after Willie had said, we might bring him back in trip. I think I backed it at 225 to 1 or something, the double, but you can still get it at 195. For anyone that's kind of backed Gaelic Warrior for the Turners, which I imagine there's a lot, that might just be a bit of a sensible play. Something to look at.
Yeah, we've got a quick look now at the Arkle. So I think when I looked at it, it's completely all over the place. You can back Gaelic Warrior for the Arkle at 9-2 with Bet365, and it's still 12-1 with Skybet. So I don't think even the bookies know what's going to be going on here. It's just a matter completely up in the air altogether, and you can see why. Because I think there's a lot more to come over next probably a couple of months before we hit March. But so we'll just touch on yesterday's race, and then Ballyburn first and foremost seems to come back to the promise of what was what the promise that everyone thought was within him. Going up in trip, and I mean he won it very easily, to be fair.
I thought it was really good. It was what I was hoping to see the first day. He's obviously bumped into a good horse the last day. But yeah, I mean, he jumped and he like picked up and spread wings almost. That horse that was in second has got form tied in with Daddy Longlegs from the maiden hurdle. Yeah, it was exactly what I was hoping to see. So I was pleased to go and see him do that.
Yeah, I think if you're running for the Ballymore, you probably feel like you're back in the ball game now after watching him get beat the first time out. Just to touch on Firefox, I think must be a decent horse to do what he did. So definitely keep around him next time he's out as well. So Grand Clay West in the Neville Hotels Novices Chase. This for me was up there with one of the performances of the festive season for me personally. I think to run the race that he did and to win it as effortlessly as he did as well. His jumping looked sound, he looked comfortable, and you can certainly see why he's become probably one of the favourites now for Browns in March.
Yeah, again, really good. Reminded me a bit of galloping de Champs that we saw sort of day before. So yeah, it was very, very impressive. I would just say that I think Corbett's Cross was given an absolute shocking ride. I don't really like to talk too badly on jockeys, but he gave them all 10 lengths at the start and was beaten 6 lengths. So
what is it with Corbett's Cross? Because it just seems to be all over the shop, doesn't it, really, to be fair? It always seems to flat to deceive, then it'll win it. I hate to say it. I won't say it.
I think he's such a talented horse. And I think, like, just looking at the form of that race, everything that's in behind, they're all good horses. And obviously, Grange Clare West beat them up a stick. But I think Corbett's Cross could have been closer. But yeah, he's a bit of a cheeky one. But it was just such an odd ride. I'm wondering whether they're looking at a national or what they're trying to do with him. It was just so peculiar.
Oh, how dare you accuse the green and yellow and Emmett Mullins of trying to plot a horse? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, it was just ridiculous, wasn't it? 10 lengths at the start and just kind of milling about, not really trying to get close. And then last couple of fences trying to get a bit closer. But by that point, he'd already gone. Like, it was just...
Wouldn't surprise me, mate, if it turns a national chase.
I think everyone can rip up their Floor Imports tickets, though. I don't think he's winning at Cheltenham.
No, 100%. State Man, we sort of touched on it when we spoke about Constitution Hill. Literally, it's the best hurdler in Ireland. Over 2 miles, as simple as that. I think they'll probably be kicking themselves a little bit of the shoving Perry Pass on the fences. That's just my opinion. I think they're probably regretted that they haven't done that now. Because in Perry Pass, realistically, I mean, what's he going to finish third in the champion hurdle now? He's not going to do much else. He's not going to go for State Man again. He's not going to beat Constitution Hill yet. Last season, Willie thought he might have been one of the better 2 miles that he had on the back of Ballymore when he looked a potential superstar. So I reckon they're out kicking themselves now that they haven't gone down the fences route.
I mean, I think I heard at the time that it was the owner's decisions and not Willie's. I think Willie wanted to go chasing. That's what I heard anyway. But yeah, I mean, he is only 5, so maybe they're just trying to let him fill out into his frame a bit more. But it does seem like a season, doesn't it?
No, it does. I mean, like I say, you basically just pick up scraps, aren't you, with a horse which, if you sort of filter it down, Constitution Hill's an absolute generational horse. State Man is exceptionally good. Imperi Pass isn't far behind State Man. So Imperi Pass is probably a very good horse as well. It's just that it's just running into 2 superstars in front of him, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a shame with that. And then we'll just touch on the new Cheltenham bumper favourite in Jalon Dudery. Harry Swan, who came on with us last week, or maybe the week before, he put up this horse as the one horse that he'd like to sit on for the rest of the season, and it's easy to see why. I mean, Redemption Day came from decent form, from decent bumper form from last season, and at one point it looked like he was going to go past Sean Dudery, but he just kept giving back, and I think it bodes well for Cheltenham. And for me, it was really telling that Gordon showed his hand so early in the interview afterwards, saying, "Look, he's that Cheltenham bumper horse, and Jack Kennedy's up for him." That to me was a really positive bit of feedback after the race as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I think Redemption Day's speed might have been blunted on the ground a bit, but this Jalon Dudery just stayed and just lengthened away from him. Really impressive and exactly what you'd want to see. I think this season, from what we've seen, Gordon definitely has the upper hand in terms of bumper horses over Willie. So that'll be exciting to see. I know he mentioned he's got a couple more to come, so it'll be interesting to see what they're like.
Yeah, well, I mean, dare I say, and I'm only reading through the lines here, the fact that he sort of nailed his flag to the master, said that Jack Kennedy's going to be on this lad in the champion bumper, would probably suggest to me that from what he's seen so far, this is their number one in the yard for the bumpers. I'd thought so anyway, unless he's bluffing. But I mean, I would imagine that's probably what he thinks this moment in time.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I'm not entirely sure what's happened with Jamie Codd and all of that stuff. Did he retire or?
I don't know. He just seems to be doing a bit less and less, don't he? With everything, really.
I'm not seeing him jacked up on anything, so.
No. Well, hopefully he's all well anyway. That's the main thing. Hopefully there's nothing there, so hopefully it's all good. But right, just going to put you on the spot then. On the back of the festive period, what was your best performance, and give me one new Ante Post bet based on the performances that you've seen?
I'd probably say my performance of the week would probably be LA Francais. Thought he was really good. But I'd probably have Nassalam very close in the Welsh national. I thought he was brilliant. Funny story about that, actually. I was in Austria on some holiday when he ran his last race, and I'd fancied him for the Welsh national, and he was in running. I was watching it, and I couldn't really get on any bookies. So I managed to get onto 888 Sport, but it was all in German or Austrian, whatever. And I tried to get Nassalam at 50-1, but because I didn't speak any Austrian, I couldn't actually work out how to use the app. So that went.
You missed out.
Yeah, so I was a bit annoyed about that. And a new bet I've had, sort of in my pointing system, I had a max bet on Grange Clare West for the Browns at 11-2 after the race. I think that's, yeah. I'd already got Corbett's Cross covered, so I just think they're 1 and 2 better than anything else myself.
For me, I'm going to stay away from probably the obvious two, which is Le Francais and Galopin de Champs. For me, I've really cribbed the horse massively, but I was really taken by Gaelic Warrior's performance in the 14 novices. I think for a grade 1 to be jumping that well as a novice, I thought they were absolutely exceptional. I really did. And I know people say, oh, well, they were 4-7 and this and that, but if you just go back and watch his jumps at every single fence, they were absolutely pinpoint and they were like an arrow. So he was my performance of the week. My new Ante Post bet on the back of this weekend was actually Jalon Dudery. I backed him before the race, so I think it was 16 or 18-1 before he ran. But that was also the back of the conversation that we had also with Harry when he seemed to be building it up a little bit. So I'm sort of pleased I'm sat on that. But to be fair, I think there's a few after this week that you can probably bet on now for Cheltenham Ante Post where you're going to get some decent odds and even a few little roll-up bets and things like that, which obviously we discuss quite a lot now.
Yeah.
People like the Marine National for the Arkle and even money. If you try and roll that up with a few, I imagine he'll probably go off for the Arkle. Probably, definitely odds against a million percent. Odds on, a million percent. Probably would be 1 to 4 if you really don't turn up. So just have a look at that.
You've got lots to bet on because we've got lots of racing, lots of football, lots of darts. So lots of opportunities for roll-ups.
Yeah, just get rolling up, guys. Right, well, thanks very much for joining us, mate. Hope everyone's obviously enjoyed the little review and stuff like that. Make sure that you're subscribing to the YouTube channel as well. For all the stuff's now going to start going on there. And I don't know about you, but I quite enjoy the videos now. Seem a lot more better than what we were doing in the pods. For honest with you, I quite enjoy them.
Yeah, I enjoy them. I think it's a bit better sort of having that face-to-face conversation, isn't it? Yeah,
100%. We'll try and get some more people on as well as we go. We've reached out to a few other channels that do this sort of stuff as well. So hopefully going forward, you won't just see mine and Bo's face or other guys on from us. We'll try and do a little bit more collaborations as we go on. But yeah, right, well, let you get off, mate. A couple more beers now before we stop drinking.
Are you doing dry Jan?
No. I work in the drinks industry. I'm not going to start promoting dry January.
Good man.
No, I'm only kidding. To be fair, there's lots of 0% alcohol stuff out there now that you can buy. So yes, I fully endorse it. Right, catch up with you soon.
Thank you.